having to decipher, good people from bad people all the time, especially when people are trying to conspire against you deceitfully and frame you in a sense. Now, I knew what they were doing. It was obvious. And I then contacted 911 again because I was in that much more fear of my life. When I called 911, I explained to them that this is the second time I called 911. And the first time I called 911, they told the rescue team that they sent to help me to immediately leave the hospital. And I've been in the hospital now for 2 days against my will, suffering from several injuries on my body from the police brutality that Officer Ronnie Rodriguez committed. They said the same thing. We're sending, no, this time they said they're sending internal affairs to the hospital. When internal affairs came, they immediately took pictures of all the injuries on my body, documented everything. And it wasn't until then, Your Honor, that when the internal affairs brought to the attention to the doctors that I have several injuries on my body that are clearly from an aggravated assault, and that I'm suffering from several injuries, and I'm in an excruciating amount of pain. It wasn't until then that the internal affairs said that to the doctors, that the doctors immediately scheduled for me to get an X-ray, an MRI, and a CT scan of all of my injuries that stem from the top of my brain, down the left side of my face, down the left side of my neck, down the left side of my ribs, down my left leg to my left foot. They then made me stay at the hospital from August 8th to August 17th. The police brutality happened.
Is there anything that you want me to do about this today?
Your Honor, I would like to present to you all of the evidence that I have.
You just presented me all the evidence. Mr. Forward, what is the purpose of you presenting the evidence to me today? What is it that you want?
I would like to start a jury trial, Your Honor, but I'm not exactly...
That would be your testimony at the jury trial. I am not the jury, and so Mr. Harrison has your motion to dismiss been adjudicated yet, the one you filed on November 9th?
No, Your Honor. I just went ahead and answered the...
Oh, you answered. So it's resolved?
It's resolved.
Okay, fine.
Your Honor, may I...
You want me to set your trial case for jury trial?
Yes, Your Honor, but before...
Do you have any additional discovery that you need to do?
Yes, I'd just like to bring this evidence to your attention while we're here.
How much more time are you requesting, Mr. Fuller?
I believe we scheduled this hearing for...
You scheduled it for an hour and a half. You can schedule it for 15 hours if you just want to talk, and that's fine. But...
Well, I don't want it to be a burden.
I'm sorry.
I don't want it to be a burden on anybody, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Fuller, if we're accomplishing something, it's not a burden if it takes 15 hours. If we're not accomplishing anything, if we're having a conversation, then the taxpayers don't want to fund that if it costs 15 minutes.
I understand. I'm willing.
We have to be accomplishing
I'll pay for it.
Something to move the case forward to a resolution. Is there anything that you need from the way this case, Mr. Harrison, on behalf of the city, has now answered your complaint?
Okay.
The case now is in the discovery phase.
What I need, Your Honor...
information from the city, or if the city needs information from you, that's what we need to do now. I see some subpoenas in the record. I don't know, that was you subpoenaing the medical records, I assume?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. What I need specifically is a peace of mind and some closure. You know, I'm not able to sleep at night. I'm suffering even more now from insomnia. And as I stated, I suffer from PTSD, anxiety, and depression. I'm up all night, every night, doing research, watching nonstop cameras in court, Supreme Court cases of civil rights violations, and it's just it's really ruining my life in the sense of me being able to function properly and do what I need to do in life. You
What is
understand?
ruining your life, Mr. Fawad?
The fact,
Court case or
no,
the injury that you incurred
the
some
fact,
time ago?
both. And the fact that the defense counsel for the City of Miami Police Department, who was defending a criminal, an officer who brutally assaulted me, who violated his oath, okay, is under the impression, because we have not had this conversation yet in depth as we have today, and I haven't presented all of this evidence in front of him, he's under the impression that I've caused these injuries to myself. And that is a problem, because that puts me in even more fear than I'm already in. Because based on what the law says, if you lie about a police officer brutally assaulting you, you can go to jail for the rest of your life. And I'm not going to lie about something like that, Your Honor. I have a 10-year-old daughter. My son just recently died from medical malpractice. Okay? My son's mother has a multi-million-dollar lawsuit in medical malpractice court in Broward County because of the fact that my son died due to the negligence of a hospital, 2 OBGYNs, a doctor, and a healthcare company, and a registered nurse. Now, I'm already suffering from PTSD, anxiety, and depression because of that. This has increased my level of PTSD, anxiety, and depression. My family, Your Honor, is scared.
Mr. Fawad, let me explain to you now how this matter will proceed to be resolved.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you can direct me in some of these matters about how it can be resolved. Because I certainly am sympathetic to the anxiety and stress that the court case, in addition to whatever happened in the incident with the police officer, that the court case can cause, especially to a vulnerable individual representing himself. The normal way that a case like this would go is that once discovery was completed, exchange of information, it would be placed on a trial calendar. A case like this, which is relatively new, ordinarily takes some long period to get ready for trial. On the day of trial, a number of individuals who would be potential jurors will come into the courtroom, and you, representing yourself, and Mr. Harrison, representing the city, will have to go through a jury selection process and select a jury for the case. Presumably, then, if you're going to do this, you should come to the courthouse and watch juries be selected in other cases so that you get an idea of what it's about.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then the jury will sit there, and you will sit over here under oath, basically, and testify to the things that you testified today.
Yes,
And
Your
you'll print out from the disc the exhibits that you want to show the jury. And Mr. Harrison will ask you questions. Do you then have any other witnesses that you wish to call?
Yes.
Who are your witnesses?
The narratives, the reference photographs from the internal affairs. When
Any other people that you wish to call as witnesses in your case?
Yes.
Besides you?
Yes, the reference photographs from the narratives of the internal affairs report,
Those
as
are
well
exhibits. Any other people besides yourself that you wish to call? You'll be able to show the jury some exhibits during your testimony. Are there any other people that you are going to call?
Unfortunately, Your Honor, the vehicle of the police department, they can't afford, at the time they couldn't afford to equip the vehicles with cameras and
In any event, that
or
wouldn't be people.
and or
Are there
body
any
cameras.
other people that you wish to call? No, that's fine.
Yeah.
You're going to tell the jury your story.
Yes, Your Honor.
Afterwards, Mr. Harrison.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Your Honor. In the video where I recorded Officer Ronnie Rodriguez, there was a witness. There was a gentleman who was living in the apartment building on the same property of where Officer Ronnie Rodriguez intentionally, aggravatedly assaulted me, who came outside and sat down and watched the entire incident. And you can clearly see him in the video when I recorded. He had on a bright red shirt, and he sat right there and watched everything. Now, I went back to that apartment building, and I talked to just about every single resident in that apartment building, and they all pointed to apartment 1, the apartment that he was standing in front of. And they said that that is the spouse of the woman who lives in apartment 1. Now, every time I go to apartment 1, Your Honor, the lady, she's clearly aware of what happened. Someone's obviously brought it to her attention, and she just acts like she wants nothing to do with the situation, and she acts as if she doesn't understand English at all. Not trying to judge her negatively, but it's pretty easy to decipher nonsense from realistic, factual situations. Now, on top of the fact that, Your Honor, everywhere I go in Miami, I'm being harassed. When I go to the gym, when I go to Publix, when I go to do physical therapy, when I'm, I'm constantly being harassed, Your Honor. And the second that I bring it up, and the second that I bring it to somebody's attention, they try to pull this card as if I'm just completely insane and I don't know what I'm talking about. Now, it's common for the people to do that. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I cannot be responsible for all of the problems that you have in your life. I'm sorry to hear about your son.
Well, Your Honor, it's a cover-up, Your Honor. That's what it is. And I have evidence proving it. So it's a citywide cover-up, and the majority of the people who are doing it are police officers' friends, Your Honor. And I have evidence proving that. I hate to say that in court because it makes the city of Miami-Dade County look corrupt. Something that Sergeant Edwin Gomez clearly stated on the Leo Affairs chat, stating that the Miami Police Department is corrupt.
Mr. Harrison, what month should I set this cause for trial?
I would ask we set it in the summertime, Your Honor. Your Honor, if I could, just with regard to this motion, this is plaintiff's motion to enforce judge's examination of evidence for jury trial. I'd ask that it be denied.
Okay. I think we accomplished the purpose that Mr. Fawad had today. He wanted here in open court to bring the court and the defendant to be aware of the seriousness of the allegations that he's making.
We take it very seriously.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. I really appreciate you saying that.
Accomplished his purpose. We then will